This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pınar. I will be the moderator for this session, and welcome to the first session of our Congress. If you have any question about the presentation, write to the comment section. When the presentation is over, I can forward your question to the presenter. And now I invite Ersin İnankul, our keynote speaker, to give his speech.
Hi, Pınar. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. İnankul.
Hi, everyone. My name is Ersin İnankul. I'm the Chief Digital and Commercial Officer of Istanbul Airport. I mean, there was a really good movie about Istanbul. Just today, I'm going to give a detailed information about what we did for Istanbul Airport and what we are planning to do for future. Especially for digital and the commercial purposes. Let me share my presentation first. Just give me a second. Okay. Just I'm gonna start with a word that is this sentence is very famous and we like a lot. If the world was only the one country, Istanbul will be its capital. The Napoleon Bonaparte has already said about that one. And why Istanbul and Istanbul Airport? I mean, Istanbul Airport has a natural geographic position. To become a major hub in the world, especially intersection between Asia and Europe and Middle East and Africa. Just within 3 hours, we always just mentioning about that. You are able to reach with 60 plus capital cities, more than 120 countries, and 130 destinations. This gives us a big advantage, become a major hub in the world. There is a lot of another marketing potential in the world for aviation perspective. I mean, as I mentioned, for the geography, and also within just 2 hours drive, you are capable to reach 20 million passenger and people. For the economy part, when the old phase is already complete, we are in the first phase. Our project is in the fourth phase. Istanbul Airport, we're going to contribute Turkey's economical development, more than 200,000 jobs, plus 4.89% of to a contribution to GDP of Turkey. This is also great. For tourism, of course, Turkey is a great potential for tourism. And just beginning of the 2000, Turkey just make a great growth, 8.2% every year to reach with 2019 before COVID with 45 million tourists. Just Istanbul itself is almost handling with 15 million of them. And for the aviation perspective, our airport is a great hub and has a beneficial for, because Asia, Africa, and most probably, and Australia is growing a lot, and Turkey has a great potential to handle this aviation hub. And also cargo is our another major development area. We are believing that cargo is already growing 2-digit every year, and it is going to continue. And of course, this airport is giving a big advantage to Turkish Airlines, because Turkish Airlines, growing and developing his, the route strategy, and we are helping them a lot. When we come to the project, that just would like to give some information. This is a 25 years PPP project. The construction is already started with 2015. Project itself is just for 25 years, and the concession fee is 22 billion euro. And investment, total investment for 4 phases will gonna be 10 billion euro. 7.5 billion euro already spent. And the first phase that is starting from the 1st May of 2015 is already finished with 42 months, is a world record. And when the just airport is live at 2018, just 6 months for trial period, and we just start our full operation with more than 1,000 flights a day with 7 April of 2019. And this concession we're gonna end with 2044. And when we come to the capacity management, there is some comparisons. We already have a monoblock terminal buildings, which is the largest, one of the largest terminal building in the world. That's 1.4 million square meters. When you compare with the Frankfurt, this is 2019's number. Frankfurt's already did with 64 million passenger with 2 terminals. And we already handled with 64 also with 1 monoblock terminal. Like the Hong Kong, Beijing, they are handling with 2-3 terminals. We're just making 100 million passenger with 1 terminal. As I mentioned, this is a 4-phase project. We are in the 1st phase. Within the 1st phase, we already developing a monoblock terminal building and 3 parallel runway. The parallel means that this 3 runway is working at the same time. All the aircraft can land and depart at the same time with 3 parallel runway. It's a big benefit. Just Schiphol can do it, and the Atlanta can do it in the world. Within the 2nd phase, we are planning to make a east-west runway, and within the 3rd phase, 1 more terminal building, and the 4th runway. Within the 4th phase, we're gonna put the last runway within the 5 runway and like 130 buildings. We are planning to reach with 200 million passenger. There is no 200 million passenger capacity terminal or airport in the world. When we just come to the terminal ambience, that design was very important for us because our OR techs just put the effort to enhance the passenger experience at the terminal. That's why the natural lights was so important for us. We use more than 200, the natural lights points like the Grand Bazaar. The design is coming from there. For the acoustic design is already made to ensure easier communication between the passengers. And for the fresh air, we already get 30% of the quality standards from the lead. And we just come to the business approach for digital and the commercial purposes. Our aims at the top of all our works to making Istanbul Airport as a great hub. What we are doing this for? Just we are doing effective partnership management and creating value-added new services. The effective partnership management is including with the hotels, advertising, duty-free, facility management, and for these created value new services like the premium services, homemade, we already make with our teams, and Ego Museum or cultural events. How we are doing? This is a concrete approach that we are trying to team up all these critical stakeholders. This is so critical at aviation and airport business because there is a lot of stakeholders working at the airports, more than 130,000 people at the same time. The government, more than 72 airlines, 4 ground handling companies, a lot of subcontractors, concessionaires. To collect all these guys on one table and try to team you up is so critical. And we're always focusing to customer experience. It's our always homework. We're just working a lot to enhance our customer experience every time. And of course, when we are doing all this, our foundation is digital and data centric. I mean, we put the technology and the data at the center of all our processes. As digital and commercial department, we are dealing a lot of the activities like the retail. The Istanbul Airport has 391 units, is almost 21,000 square meters. It's almost two or three big shops, malls, capacity. We have one hotels. This airport hotels with the 451 rooms. Our duty-free area, this is the largest duty-free in the world, is operated by one of the German company with us. It's 55,000 square meters. For our F&B, cafes, restaurants, and all these shops, is already have 33,000 square meters. And we have a concept, we are developing an airport city, and our car park is totally 40,000 cars capacity, is more than 1.2 million square meter. As I mentioned, that the partnership management is so critical for us. That's why we just partnering with the Yotel, is one of the largest the hotel operator at the UK. And for the advertising, we are partnering with the Mediaport, very strong in Turkey, like almost 30,000 square meters advertising space at terminal. For F&B, we are partnering with Tumiçtu. And for duty-free, we are partnering with Unifree, the German company, that the largest operator in the world. For car park, we're just operating ourselves. For the new value services that we make our home made custom design, we call IGAPAS. This is a fully digital, the development is including with the launch management, fast track, meet and assist, sleep pod, buggy, meeting lounge application. This already started to develop in 2019, and now it's still on the development that with the new modules. When we just come to the IGAPAS, this is our loyalty platform, is included with the 3 main packages. And we are just offering a lot of services to our customer through this platform. And also, as one of the biggest hub in the world, we are just making a lot of cultural and artistic events to keep soul of the building alive. Like just the previous year, we make more than 100. We just hosted more than 100 different artists at our airport, including with the miniatures, the classical music, Turkish music, or traditional art activities. And we already started a journey with the Ministry of Culture and Tourism at 2020, at the beginning of 2020, and we already opened our museum is at 2020 July. The museum itself is one of the biggest airport museum in the world, that 1,000 square meter, is including really seamless, the activities inside the museum. To keep us alive, we just listening our passenger and customer within 16 channels. This is so critical and important for us. Like all kind of social media, web, internet, focusing groups, face-to-face survey, and we already have 272 survey kiosks to get feedback from our passenger and the customer. We are collecting this information and reporting to our top management and trying to get necessary actions from this information. And what we are doing for the hospitality, this is so critical that, I mean, Turkey's hospitality has a great culture, more than 1,000 years. We're just trying to, in line with the Turkish hospitality culture, to our airport also. Just we have 5 rules, and we're just trying to improve and giving a lot of education to our staff for learning these 5 rules and trying to apply it to our customers and the passengers. The first one is starting with the, like us, prepare and clean. If you are just waiting a guest or something, you should be clean your home. Like the home, we're just trying to prepare and clean to our airport. We're just always welcoming our passenger with smile, and we just always get in touch and make a conversation and trying to help them. We're trying to care them and trying to put them a big comfort. And we are saying a goodbye and farewell with them. These 5 rules, just we are trying to apply at the airport, every corner of the airport, starting from the check-in, passport, and the boarding gate. Another thing that's very so important for us is the kid-friendly airport. We're putting a lot of effort at this also. First, we already developed a family first parking slots. We have more than 8 baby care rooms. We have 6 free children playing area. And for entrance, we have family first security gates, and also this gates all at the passport area. And we already have the family restrooms. And of course, I mean, our 60 plus guests is so important for us. We are doing a lot for them also. We're already giving free buggy services to them. And they have a special sales and health services for them also. For the security points, we're already making a priority for this special guests. After business approach, I would like to just give a technology infrastructure of the terminal and our airport. This is so critical. All the major hubs just competing about the technology right now. This is so critical. Just be dividing this to 2 focus area. The one of them is just aviation. The second one is the passenger. For aviation focus, the safety management, security management system is so critical. This airport has a great infrastructure for the security and safety environment, including with the physical security and cyber security. And the communication system itself, including with the 5G infrastructure, full coverage of Wi-Fi, BLE network, Bluetooth infrastructure, NFC networks, all is already placed. The first 5G infrastructure building in Turkey is our terminal. And we already make our test, waiting the licensing from government. And of course, the iBorder system is also placed at terminal. When we just come to the passenger focusing, we are doing a lot to help our passenger, like the voice assistants with the AI support, chatbots. Within our mobile apps, we are giving a chatbot services through AI capability. And we are just working on the commercial platform. I'm going to give the detail at the next slides. And we're just giving the free Wi-Fi, full coverage of Wi-Fi at the terminal, and the BLE network at the terminal also. Just some numbers for the technology infrastructure. We already have 3 data center. One of them is tier 3 operation certification. Just only 8 data center has in Turkey. This integration project, we have already integrated more than 100 systems, 202 systems integrated each other. I mean, communicating these systems together. It's like a city. We have more than 102,000 network ports. Is when you compare with almost more than the ADSL user than Sakarya city. Just 2,500 kilometers fiber optic cables already placed. More than 10,000 cameras working at the terminal. When we just come to the journey of the airport, just how the technology is touching the passenger journey at the terminal, we put a lot of systems at there. One of them is the QMS, Dynamic Queuing Management System. I mean, this system is starting from the entrance of the terminal. We have already placed, we have 7 entrances at the terminal. We have already placed the AI-based cameras to collect the information from the entrance. We're just watching the queues and getting this information and estimating that when this queue will gonna end, and just giving these numbers to our passengers real time. Our passengers capable to see how many minutes they're gonna wait at the entrance of the terminal. This is giving a lot of benefits to them. And we are using these systems at the entrance of the terminal and the security control and the passport control also. The another information that we are just giving and using now is the interactive live agent. We have already placed 21 units at the terminal. This is like a one button help, just coming and pushing the button. One of our live agent is coming and helping to you and giving the information about your flights or where you want. And of course, the humanoid robots also we are using at the terminal at a lot of places that we using these robots for grading information. This especially our kids also liking a lot and taking picture with them. Just this robot is giving information about the terminal, and also we are using this for security purposes. There is a camera that we recognizing the face of our passenger, and also there is a screen, and you can use the screen on robot that to navigate where you want. And also robots also we are using for cleaning purposes. When we just come to the e-passport, this terminal is trying to be a contactless journey. We are pushing a lot at last year to be one of the contactless terminal at the world. This one of the model is e-passport. When you just come to our terminal for departure and arrival, there is 10 units at the departure, 16 units at the arrival, and 4 units at the transfer. For Turkish citizens, they can just use their passport, fingerprint, and face, and without any stop at the passport area, they can just pass through the terminal. We're also using an iValidate system to multiple legged flight detection, and also the flight validation for domestic and international flights. And of course, we are giving dynamic information from our flight information display systems. We have more than 3,400 screens with multiple choice of the languages at terminal. And we're putting 14 of the F&B kiosks for the commercial purposes. If you would like to find whenever you like, any kind of food, just searching and finding your way through this kiosk. When we just come to the mobility side, we're just, believing and pushing a lot for mobility platforms. Our apps, Istanbul Airport mobility apps already download with 750,000 people. We have 150,000 active users right now. We are giving a lot of information through our mobile apps, like the real-time flight information, F&B or commercial areas, interactive question and answer, AI-based chatbots. This is one of the best. I like also the functions from our mobile apps is where is my car? Our car park is so huge, as I mentioned before, it's 40,000 multi-story car park. Is 18,000 is just closed one, 22,000 is open one. If you just park your car and lost where you park it, it's really hard to find. That's why we already develop a software, an app to find your car. Just you write your plate number, we're finding your car through our cameras, and we're just navigating you to find your car with more than 3,500 cameras. And we already developed with our digital team. We're calling to our mobile platform, we're calling Home to Gate. This is just starting from home. Within our Istanbul Airport mobile app, you're just gonna choose your flight from home, and we're gonna first we're gonna show you the traffic information. We already integrate with the Google, and we're gonna find the best way to come to our airport. Then when you just come to the airport, we're just capable to see the car park availability online. I mean, how many slots of the car park at the which floor, you can see directly from our map, and you can park your car. And inside the airport, we are just giving a dynamic navigation information, and within the QR, you can buy fast track, launch, or any kind of the premium services through our mobile apps. For arrival purposes, you can just pay your car park, and you can just call your car from wallet services through digital channel. There is a movie there. Yeah. Just our aims, just as I mentioned earlier, this our strategy tried to be commercial. Merge the commercial activities and the digital activities together. Just we are trying to collect the passenger behavior information, and we already create a digital passenger platform. It's including a loyalty platform. This IGA Pass is a homemade our development, including with the membership packages and individual sales through the launch, buggy, fast track activities. And we already developed a virtual assistants, AI-based chatbots. And we already developing a commercial platform called EastBuy. This is a web page commercial, platform. And all concessionaires able to put their products and show their, the products and capable to sell from there. And we are just, they're just gonna be able to make a reservation. Our all passenger, we're gonna able to make a reservation through this platform, and this platform we're gonna be online very soon. We're already making a campaign management, dynamic campaign management through our social media and through our mobile app platforms with the campaigns, coupons, and online discounts. And of course, behind of these activities, we are putting a lot of digital marketing activities for the performance marketing and the CEO management. We are working, and we're gonna be one of the first airport in the world. We're gonna place for digital wallet. Just we are calling IGA wallet. Like the currency wallet, we're gonna put our wallet. You're gonna be capable to put your credit card, park your credit card to our wallet, or you're gonna be able to put your money. Like you're gonna put the 1,000, but you're gonna spend 1,100 at the airport because I'm gonna give a lot of campaign at the airport. This is gonna be one of the payment method at the airport. I'm gonna give the detail about the biometric journey because this is so critical, and we're gonna push this year and next year for this biometric journey. And we are working to put a new experience center to give more information about Istanbul, our airports, VR experience, or flight simulators. Just, the digital journey and the contactless journey is so critical for us. We are just putting like the other airports. This one of them is the biometric journey. We just handshake and make the two demo with Turkish Airlines. We're just preparing ourselves for this infrastructure. This is including with the biometric journey. How are we gonna make? First, there will be two-way. The first way with the kiosk, our passenger will gonna come to the kiosk, and we're gonna make a new digital token with the kiosk, or they're gonna use their mobile apps. Just they're gonna make a selfie with their, the mobile apps with their mobile phones, and they're gonna add this boarding pass and the passport information, and they were gonna create a token. We are calling token. And this token data we're gonna be applicable for checking passport and the gate. And for the next phase, we're gonna use this token for entering for the lunch and the shopping experience also. It's mean that our passenger without any interaction or without any stop, they're gonna continue a contactless journey at our airport. I mean, when we just come to the COVID-19 activities, we are facing, I'm just 17 years at this sector, never seen a crisis such a before. This is the sum of the numbers that the aviation sector has lost. For our airports, we already stopped the scheduled flights at the middle of the March at 2020 and get back our normal flights at the beginning of the June. Normally at 2019 numbers, we were handling 1,300 or 1,400 flights a day. And now we're just handling 600 or 650 flights a day. Our normal days at 2019 was we were just hosted 210 or 200,000 passengers a day, but now it's just 70,000, 8,000. With this number, we are in the first in the Europe. But anyway, we just planning to end up this year with the half of the 2019. But we are just aiming to be at the beginning of the 2022. We're gonna catch the 2019's number, we hope. What we did for this COVID-19, we get a lot of measures at the airport. We put, a lot of efforts and get a lot of necessary measurements at the every corner of the airport. We have 5 approach. One of them is the measures for the health and safety environment. And we already make a through communications with our guests, employers, stakeholders. And we use a lot of technology for these measures. And we monitor them all 7/24. And we already document all these our efforts. This is some of the examples that what we did and what the other airports already did for some of the categories like the sanitization, distancing, communication, and passenger control. As an Istanbul airport, we are one of the #1 airport get the certification from ACI for the health and safety airport. What we did, we just start to touch our passenger from their home with the mobile apps. We're using our mobile apps to warn our passenger from their home. And we're just giving a new normal information. The distancing, the mask, and the new rules and regulations at the terminal. And once they just arrive at the terminal, we're just meeting with them with the sanitization mats and terminal cameras at the entrance of the terminal. This terminal camera is just monitoring their fever, their temperature, and sending this information to our AOCC, Central Operations Center. And after that, we already integrate our X-ray machines with UV luggage cleaning. This is also so critical and important. And we already established a hygiene team, more than 100 people. Some of them is just wearing smart helmets. This helmet is just helping us to monitor a group of the people's temperature at the same time. And we put plexiglasses everywhere and digital warning and social distancing stickers every corner of the terminal. And we're gonna have a movie, what we did for these measures at COVID-19.
Lütfen dikkat! Sağlığınız için her zaman yüz maskenizi takınız ve sosyal mesafenizi koruyunuz. Attention please! For your health, always wear your face mask and keep your social distance.
I mean, after all these, the measures, what we take at the terminal, and we already get the airport pandemic certification. We were the first airport in Turkey from the Ministry of Transport Infrastructure. And within this certification, we already approved that we get the necessary measurements for the face masks, plexiglasses, health checks, periodic disinfection, necessary wear to masks, warning the passenger. There is a lot of categories there. We will already apply for all. And then we already get the ACE certification. And we were the first airport in the world that already get from ACI, Airport Health Accreditation Certification, including the criteria that the health and safety promotion, cleaning and disinfection, special, the disembarking procedures, and the PCR testing centers. We already place a PCR testing centers at the arrival and departure, and it's working for 7/24. And at the end of my presentation, I would like to end it up with all these measurements, all the digital journey. All these efforts from our airports. After opening just for 18 months, we were already get the 5-star airport from the International Air Transport Rating Agency, Skytrax. And there is only a few airport has this 5-star. This 5 stars, including with the safety management and digital journey and all airport operations. Thank you so much. You're just listening to me. Just if you would like to have any kind of question, I will be happy to answer. And if you'd like to would like to reach to me, you're more than welcome from the LinkedIn or through the email.
To thanks Mr. Inankul for taking the time to give us his speech. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Have a nice day.
Thank you again. And today we are starting to our first session with our first presenters, Gertrude Abrantos, Dider Navarroza, Jezreel Jos Sevilla. We'll talk about education the coronavirus, a quantitative analysis on Metro Manila, undergrad students' academic motivation and their socioeconomic status during COVID-19 pandemic. Now let's listen to them.
Merhaba. This is such a great pleasure and honor to be here today on behalf of my co-presenters. We are students taking up Bachelor of Arts in Communication Research from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines. Again, the title of our study is Education and the Coronavirus, a quantitative analysis on Metro Manila undergraduate undergraduate students, academic motivation, and their socio-economic status during COVID-19 pandemic. Our deepest acknowledgement to our thesis advisor, Professor Rosabel Quindoza, with their supervision from day one. Additionally, a total of 5 student researchers work on this paper, namely Gertrude Ayuda Abarentos, Dieter Berlonga Navarrosa, Lord Gabriel Bagalihog Rogan, Jezreel Joyce Mahaba Sevilla, and Marvin de los Reyes Talat. Now, let me begin our presentation with the story about our class. This is how we look like before the pandemic, just like university students around the world. We have classmates here who are always actively participating in class, the creative ones, the athletes, the driven and competitive ones. And this is how we look now, again, just like most of us. 15 minutes after admission, 2 have already left. Some remained stable in the class, answering and commenting on the professor's discussion. 2 more kept on leaving the class and going back again, interrupting and annoying our professor. The rest of the students in the class are quiet, camera unopened, and unresponsive. This is not who we are. What is happening? The 2 who left had to change location to find a stable signal. Those who remained had stable signals and were likely to have a good at-home learning environment. Those who did not open the camera had their own stories: work, house chores, babysitting, or taking care of a family member, errands, and some mentally and emotionally drained. Each screen has a different story to tell. To contextualize the distance learning in the Philippines, the Philippine Department of Education last year, 2020, aspires that no Filipino learner will be left behind amidst the crisis and impelled education to persist. The public in response to that settled without a fight. Rappler 2020 reported that an online petition was raised by 4 of the top universities in the Philippines, namely Ateneo de Manila University, University of the Philippines, De La Salle University, and University of Santo Tomas, to suspend the academic year because of the pandemic. Primarily, the conduciveness of learning at home of different students and other unsettling factors, such as lack of gadgets and materials to adapt to the demand of distance learning in the Philippines, are raised by student groups and organizations. Joaquin et al. In 2020 showed the social media hashtags used by students in the petition, such as hashtags no student left behind, hashtag no school left behind, hashtag end online classes, hashtag end the SEM, and hashtag no to online classes. Strengthen these sentiments further. For the impact of distance learning in the socioeconomic status from lower to upper infinity classes, the socioeconomic status or SES of the students influences learning and are affected distinctively. Studies shown some impacts of distance learning to students. Number 1 is negative psychological effects. Findings showed that the respondents have moderate to severe depressive symptoms, anxiety, and stress levels, according to T et al. In 2020. Number 2 is exhaustion in quarantine, according to Labraque and Ballad in 2020. Third is academic burnout, tackled by Gewin in 2021, that the emotional, physical, and mental drain of the students from unending piles of workloads and modules decreases the capacity to continue in the new modality of learning. And fourth is the geographical disparity stated by Santos in 2020, where there is such slow internet signal in the geographically challenged areas in the Philippines. For the existing problems in the Philippines education system, the Philippines is a developing country, and if you will look closely, it is deduced that the concern on digital divide and academic disparity is evident. According to Rappler 2020, the evaluation setup in the Philippines heavily depends on internet connectivity. Joaquin et al. In 2020 added that students in far-flung areas in the country do not even have roads or electricity, let alone access to computers and internet infrastructure. Even students in urban areas may have limited internet access. These are the dominant challenges that the Philippine education is facing.
Before the students are preparing for school first thing in the morning, doing their learning routines at the university. Now, since they're going to lockdown, there are students here in the Philippines wake up only to worry where to the next meal and how to attend their online classes because they don't have the same digital access as everyone else. If this is the case, how much resources is left for the students' academic growth? Are electronic means communication really allows for creation, especially when culture is built from a sense of unity. How can this then get to the university with all their dreams and visions? Motivated about this is that for the self-enrollment is beginning to become certain. Motivation is built upon satisfaction of basic psychological needs for the self-determination tree of future and word. That is funny or the ability to make one's decision, competence, or the sense of ability to effectiveness and relatedness or the content and support from others for the activity. Motivation is the extent of built upon of the of these needs and will determine kind of motivation towards activity. On the far right disclaimer, you can see that you can be extremely motivated or deeply interested, demotivated by external outcomes, or extremely motivated, as the opponents call it, or saying without intent or valuation of the activity, or what called motivated. It will continue based on the amount of control. Given the pandemic restrictions and the precautions to students with environment of people, we are inclined to ask, how does the COVID-19 pandemic affect the academic motivation of Filipino students based on their economic status? And economic status takes into account more than just the income of the respondents. It includes their learning environment and as well as resources of the staff. With this, I am passing to Mr. Dita to discuss how we answered that question.
Several articles and studies have revealed that the COVID-19 pandemic has had a significant impact on the Philippine education system, leaving billions of Filipino undergraduate students in a remote learning approach. Hence, the following objectives have been set for this analysis to analyze the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on Metro Manila undergraduate students' academic motivation based on their current socioeconomic status or SES in the Philippines. Generally, this analysis aims to analyze the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic on Metro Manila Philippines undergraduate students' academic motivation based on their current socioeconomic status in the Philippines. However, we can only achieve that by identifying first the socio-demographic profile of Filipino undergraduate students in Metro Manila, Philippines. It was followed by measuring their SES anchored on income and social status, their psychological needs for autonomy, competence, and relatedness, as well as their intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Likewise, it is also worth measuring their motivation levels, factors affecting their self-determination determination and distance learning. Patterned on different instruments designed by authors such as Adler, Desi and Ryan, Gagne and Valerian, and colleagues, the questionnaire of this analysis has chronologically come up with 4 parts: sociodemographic profile, family background, basic psychological need satisfaction, and academic motivation scale. Following the 2020 National Capital Region University Ranking by Unirank, this analysis covered 5 known universities in Metro Manila using non-probability sampling methods, namely Ateneo de Manila University, De La Salle University, Polytechnic University of the Philippines, University of the Philippines, and University of Santo Tomas. We then used the optimal size of 385 in estimating the population proportion and a sample size of 77 for university using a 95% confidence interval and a 0.5 level of precision. However, due to the coronavirus limitations, the researchers only surveyed 234 respondents, or 100% response rate, with 2 incorrect responses and 151 unretrieved survey questionnaires. Sociodemographic findings showed the majority of female respondents, or 65%, than male respondents, or 34% out of 5 Metro Manila universities in the Philippines. It was indicated the large proportion of the De La Salle University of the Philippines in the population respectively. These students have mostly belonged to different Filipino college programs. Moreover, the overall socio-demographic status revealed that student respondents have mostly belonged to nuclear families. Their parents have bachelor's degrees, earning around 101,000 pesos in terms of combined income in a year. Likewise, this analysis showed the same amount of income during the onset of the COVID-19 in the Philippines. In terms of the subjective social status of a Filipino family, the analysis revealed that most of the respondents rated themselves 7 out of 10, implying the best of to worst of indicators of a Filipino family, while most Filipino students have more capability to study. Lastly, the overall socioeconomic status of Filipino students has mostly belonged to a middle-income class of family. To further discuss the other findings of this analysis, here is Ms. Gertrude Abarentos.
Science have shown the basic psychological needs of learning parents significantly lower distance learning and university setup. That means at home setting diminish the capacity to express themselves on their own to feel connected or relatedness and be proficient as a fit. This is congruent with their motivation for again having motivation towards going through the motions. This should be significantly higher in this employing the undergraduate students or valuing their academic less is learning. Now, another economic factor for basic psychological needs is learning. You can see that higher economic factor is the higher the likelihood of having more learning, relatedness, and content in learning. Specifically, the upper class, as you can see on our right, this graph, had the highest mean scores in autonomy, competence, and overall basic psychological satisfaction in this learning, while established class had the highest mean scores related. This is to compare the lower middle class who had the lowest mean scores in autonomy, competence, and overall basic psychological needs. And lower class with the lowest mean in related. This implies that the better learning academic resource and higher income, the higher likelihood can satisfy these psychological needs. Interestingly, however, we learned that social skills the undergraduate students type of motivation, except for a motivation that is significantly higher with low socioeconomic groups. This means that regardless of what these undergraduate students have, they could connect with the academic motivation continuum. This to be innately interested in certainly motivated, whether negatively or positively, or in other words, socioeconomic factors, not indicators of the likelihood of being motivated through external pressures like punishment, chores, and expectations, or they could have any instrument towards academic activities. With this, may I pass on Ms. District again for some information. Guys,
You can share. Your voice is muted.
Oh, I'm mute. I'm sorry, I'm mute. Okay. For further studies, the interest should also focus on higher education institutions or HEI's responsibilities to learning facilitators or teachers and stakeholders who are considered as drivers of education through the following specification. First, accessible career counseling and career readiness program on universities, as well as providing early opportunities for students brought by the K-12 curriculum. It is of precedence to gear up students holistically and the availability of vast work opportunities due to the pause given by K-12. Second is for the Commission on Higher Education, strengthening and integrating well-being and applicable policy responses in the Philippine education system for academic institutions, accessible mental health services, or maintaining safe spaces in times of crisis as part of school services. The basic psychological needs of students spiral down from face-to-face setup to distance learning, which means mental health will shake alarmingly due to the shift, and having universities provide mental health services may impact how students cope and adapt to prevent larger scales of negative effects. Third, for the Department of Information and Communications Technology, investing in affordable internet access and digital technologies for those who are far left behind, if not yet, invest in local engineers, researchers, and other related. Doing immense effort to decrease digital divide among students in distance learning contributes to the learning process, beneficially projecting fast and reliable internet. Lastly, administrative and developmental support must be provided and available to teachers, universities, school, personnel, staff, and parents for the effectiveness of distance learning for the sake of the learners. Strengthening the support for learning facilitators can lead to the efficacy of bridging gaps in the shift of e-learning rather than student-centered alone. This is where our presentation ends. Thank you very much for listening.
I would like to thank them for their presentation and participation in our Congress. And now I inviting Shabana Nikzat Hamidi to give his presentation. We'll talk about adapt of business environment to pandemic in the near future.
This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
I'm inviting Vera Chernova Konstantinova to give his presentation. We'll talk about the impact of the pandemic on the mutual trades of the EAEU member states. Now let's listen to her. What's your voice? Vera, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
Sorry.
It's no voice.
Yes.
Может, мне надо полноэкранный режим?
You can starting.
Maybe so. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the mutual trade of the Eurasian Economic Union member states. The current global crisis caused by the coronavirus pandemic is already surpassing not only the financial crisis of 2008-2009, but is also the deepest since the Second World War. Along with the recession caused by quarantine measures, the shock of the health system, the shutdown of production and services, the closure of borders, a sharp drop in external demand and capital outflow, additional aggravating circumstances, a trade war, the crisis of multilateral trading system and sanctions, accumulated structural problems in economies, the unfavorable situation in the oil market. The Eurasian Economic Union is the first successful project in the history of the Eurasian space of voluntary in-depth economic cooperation and the creation of a single space of economic activity implemented by a group of sovereign states. Currently, the Union consists of 5 countries: the Republic of Armenia, the Republic of Belarus, the Republic of Kazakhstan, the Kyrgyz Republic, and the Russia Federation. The new union was created for international cooperation and improving and competitiveness of the economies of the union of the countries. The union ensures the freedom of movement of goods, services, capital, and labor, as well as the implementation of a coordinated economic policy for the purpose of comprehensive modernization, cooperation of national economies in the interests of improving the living standards of the member states. 5 years after the entry into force of the Treaty on the EU, integration has finally become a reality of regional development. Most importantly, after the 2014-2016 recession, trade between the participating countries grew dynamically, and this is traditionally the most significant indicator of the success of integration. The coronavirus pandemic has become a serious challenge for every country and for all integration association. The problem is not only in the scale of human and economic losses, but in the ability of both national and integration institutions to withstand the pandemic and the economic crisis. All the member countries of the integration blocks in the initial stage of the pandemic separated from each other in order to contain the infection with the coronavirus. There was particularly no joint coordinated action. The union countries are not exception. After an initial period of disjointed action, there was a kind of exchange of experience. On its basis, the integration blocs tried to take joint measures to minimize the consequences of the pandemic and restore economic growth. The Russian news agency RBC reports that in 2020, the union saw the decline in the main social economic indicators with the exception of agriculture's production, the volume of construction work performed, and the manufacturing industry. The volume of gross domestic products in the union decreased by 3%, the volume of industrial production decreased by 2.7%, the volume of export and manual trade and goods within the union decreased by 11%, in foreign trade by 20.9%. Based on the data from the chart, it can be concluded that the commodity structure of mercantile trade of the union member states has changed significantly in 1990. The largest share began to occupy mineral products. Then the supply of machinery, equipment and vehicles, food products, and agricultural materials. The statistic shown in the figure shows that the volume of domestic trade fell significantly during the peak of the pandemic, but by the end of 2020, it had grown to almost the highest level. The decline in the volume of mutual trade in goods between the member states is explained by the fact that during the spread of the virus, the leaders of the union member states took various measures aimed at overcoming the negative consequences of the spread of coronavirus infection. On the one hand, it contributed to a decrease in the number of sick citizens, and on the other hand, it became a barrier to mutual trade. Due to the negative changes in mutual trade, necessity to find solutions to overcome the crisis has become a priority task. Therefore, on the 18th of June 2020, the Council of the Eurasian Economic Commission and the board of the Eurasian Economic Council consider issues of internal trade in the Eurasian Economic Union and developed a number of constructive solutions. The draft of strategic directions for the development of the Eurasian economic integration until 2025 was prepared. It includes measures and mechanisms for improving the efficiency of the functioning of the Union commodity markets, improving customs regulation, ensuring quality guarantees, the safety of customers and proper protection of consumers' rights. Also, from mid-March to the end of April 2020, 3 meetings of the Eurasian Governmental Council and one of the Supreme Eurasian Economic Council were held, as well as a meeting of the heads of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry of the Union States with the participation of members of union boards. Among the most important decisions taken as a result of this meeting, including by the Union Council, are the following. First is zeroing or significantly reducing import duties for goods imported to prevent the spread of coronavirus infection in the territory of the Union. Establishment of the Union working groups to take operational measures and exchange information in order to ensure macroeconomic stability, mutual trade in goods, and freedom of movement of labor in the Union space. Approval of the list of goods of critical import in order to minimize the negative economic consequences of the spread of coronavirus infection and prevent a shortage of socially important goods in the countries of the Union. And adopting of a package of urgent stabilization and system measures to ensure the vital needs of the population, maintaining mutual trade, freedom of movement of goods in the context of the coronavirus pandemic, and create conditions for subsequent economic growth. It's also planned to take operational measures aimed at accelerating the development of mechanisms for coordinated custom control of improved goods, the exchange of electronic documents, the identification of sanctioned goods, the integration of electronic traceability system for goods, especially those controlled by veterinary and sanitary control, the creation of green corridors, electronic quiz, and other measures to promote mutual trade. In addition, in the 11th of October 2017, the heads of the Union member states approved the main directions for implementing the digital agenda until 2025. For its implementation, an integrated information system was created. The system is designed for the rapid in-state exchange of data and electronic documents within the Union, the creation of common information resources for the member states, as well as the implementation of common process in the Union. The creation of a network or electronic customs offices and electronic declaration centers in Russia also play an important role in solving this problem. Their advantage is that a participant in foreign economic activity can declare the goods in any customs authority, regardless of the location of the cargo. In total, 16 such centers have been created in Russia. The creation of a single electronic customs office on the entire territory of the Union will be the most important factor for increasing trade turnover between states and will also strengthen control through traceability along the entire route of good movement. The goal can be achieved by forming working groups which should be should include representatives of the custom authorities of the union member states, business structures, as well as scientific and pedagogical staff who could develop proposal for the algorithm for creating and future improving a unified network of electronic customs. This will allow the leadership of the union member states to make concrete decisions on digitalization and custom administration faster and more effectively. In conclusion, we can say that statistics shows the negative impact of the pandemic on mutual trade of the Eurasian Economic Union. For the successful development and for the integration of the Union, it's necessary to create integration associations such as free trade zone, straighten control over trade turnover, and eliminate problematic aspects of the functioning of the Union. In this regard, there is an increasing need to improve the digital technologies used. The digital agenda of the Union is the most important factor in the implementation of interstate economic project. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Vera, for your presentation and participation. And I'm inviting Farista Fazıl to give his presentation. We will talk about the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on family love in Afghanistan, especially in Hort City. Now,
Yes, let me, I fix my screen. Do you have my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It's right?
Now we can your presentation.
Okay. You can my presentation? You can say my presentation?
No.
Okay, let me. Or you have my screen?
Yes, we can see.
Yes. Hello everyone. This is Farishta Faz, the student of Sharia faculty at Herat University from Afghanistan. And today I want to talk about the effect of COVID-19 on family law in Afghanistan, especially in Herat province. The unprecedented outbreak and the continuous spread of the COVID-19 virus starting in February 2020 resulted in a strict lockdown and nationwide long-term home isolation, which has possibly led to increased level of family violence in Afghanistan, and it has direct effect on family law. The impact of COVID-19 on family law. The impact of social, but consider literature and theoretical, the impact of social structural factors, including public health crisis, often family violence, has been addressed by social structural theory that views violence has an intrinsic part of a given theory that views violence has intrinsic part of a given social structure. According to this theory, family violence is a coping strategy of or reactions to stress strains caused by social structural factors such as poverty, unemployment, homelessness, isolation, race, and intensity and ecological features. So family were always educated and have lower income and occupational status are more vulnerable to structural and situational stress and are therefore more likely to experience family violence. Domestic violence during the COVID-19 family violence has significantly increased due to strict lockdown. As the COVID-19 has caused a great deal of economic, social, and family damage. One of the most important of which is the increase in domestic violence. However, domestic violence in Afghanistan is not a new issue, especially violence against women and children, which has a long history, but during the quarantine, domestic violence in Afghanistan has increased. Family violence includes the verbal violence, physical, sexual, economic, divorce, even suicide and murdering women and sales of children and marriage of children underage. Women and children are the main victims of domestic violence during the quarantine in Afghanistan. Human rights organizations and international organizations such as UNICEF and the United Nations Women have repeatedly warned of increase in domestic violence, especially against women and children during the corona pandemic. Isolation limits social contact with families and social service, and thus may facilitate families' violence and prevent victims from seeking help. During the quarantine, sorry. Domestic violence against women, the limitations of COVID-19 have devastating effect on life of families, especially women. These restrictions have exacerbated acute domestic violence and have led to family dispute in a number of families, which have escalated into major violence. Include incidents. The incident in many cases have led to suicide or murder of women. The Independent Human Rights Commission has registered 3,427 cases of violence against women from January to October 2020. Although the figures that finding by human rights commissions show 11% decrease or lower than 2019, but the commissions believes that decline is likely due to women's lack of access to justice, the spread of justice, the spread of insecurity and quarantine, and due to coronavirus. However, the lack of women's access to justice is the lack of rule of law and the lack of legal executive mechanism are the main factors of increasing family violence in the Afghanistan, especially in Herat province. Independent human rights commissions recorded 1,241 types of family physical violence, including beating, amputations, injuries, and forced labor, and the murdering, which accounted for 35.7% of all violence. Of these, 167 were murder of women, most of which were committed by family members. And the Commission has registered 130 cases of sexual violence from January to October, 23 of which were acute. In addition, recorded 601 cases of economic violence, including the non-payment of alimony, deprivations of inheritance, sales of property and jewelry, and obstructions of the work. In the first 10 months of this year, another 384 cases of violence, including the expulsions of women from home, early marriage, disenfranchisement, were reported during the epidemic. Beating have been the most common form of violence against women, with 1,100 such cases being registered by the Attorney General Office. According to the findings, a total of 662 cases of violence against women in Kabul, 256 in Mazar, and 208 cases in Herat, 119 cases in Daikundi, 61 cases in Nangarhar, and other cases in other provinces have been reported. Violence against children. Children are hiding victims of this pandemic in Afghanistan. The outbreak of the COVID-19 in Afghanistan is addition to its other negative consequences will lead to an increase in underage marriage, especially among the girls from poor families. Afghan children are faced with all kinds of physical, mental, and sexual violence. And also 833 cases of violence abuse have been registered by Attorney General Office. Sales underage and kidnap has significantly increased in Afghanistan, especially in Herat province. Violence against men also increased, which mostly include physical, economic, and stress violence, but it is not comparable with violence against women. The main factors of the increasing family violence. Research shows that the poverty and unemployment are two very important factors in increased domestic violence because people with their economic was hit hard, and increased family violence in this period, because one of the important factors in increasing domestic violence is poverty and economic problems. In fact, these two variables are directly related to each other, which increase economic problems of domestic violence. With the nationwide quarantine in Afghanistan, the majority of people who are self-employment and pay on a day-to-day basis become unemployment with no income, and were forced to stay at home, and it caused increasing the level of poverty during the quarantine. And families were faced several problems at the same time, as unemployment, poverty, stress, the dark education, and forced quarantine, all of which have led to an increase in domestic violence during the COVID-19. So finally, research requires raising the level of knowledge and public opinion about the social and individual rights and privilege of citizens, especially the legal status of women in family and social relations, creating effective solutions to combat the role of superstitions and tradition that undermines women human rights and supports is the continuations of patriarchal cultural expansions of dedicated prosecutors' office to combat violence and increase the number of experienced and specialized personnel in the prosecutor's office in all provinces, mandated marriage registrations and used marriage certificate, strengthening the court for combating violence against women and expand this structure in the remote province. Adoptions of the law on the elimination of violence against women and creations of a practical program for the implementations of this law. And this is the references. Thank you for your attention. If you have any questions or if anyone wants all of resources, references, can you contact with me and contact with me through the email. Thanks for your attention. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you, Ferista, for your presentation and participation in our Congress.
Thank you too.
Thank you again. And now I inviting Shaban and Iqzat Hamidi to give his presentation. We'll talk about adapt of business environment to pandemic in the near future. Now let's listen to her. Can you share your voice? Your voice is muted. We can't hear you. Can you share your voice? Sorry, Shabana, we can't hear you. Open your voice, Shabana.
This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Malta University, you don't know where what is, and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful, and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Malta University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Malta University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after
We apologize for the technical delays.
So now, do you hear me?
Yes, we can
Okay.
hear you.
Again, I am Shabana Nigzat Amidi, a student of Economic Faculty at University of Afghanistan. I want to talk about pandemic and business environment. In fact, the article's title is about adapt the health business environment to pandemic in the near future. This article has 4 sections. In the first section, examined about business condition in Afghanistan affected by the pandemic. The second section discuss about electronic governments. The third section discuss about changing of business paradigm, and finally, the fourth section discuss or examined about string deregulations. Many humans advanced in innovation through history have been a result of the bittersweet events that human beings have faced in the different areas. With this approach, we can look at any crisis and unpleasant incident as a window to reach the tools of improving life and take a conscious step in these directions. The COVID-19 pandemic crisis, which has affected many countries around the world, including the global economic and especially business as an integral part of human life, is affected by various events, including the crisis COVID-19 is located today, and it will be affected in the near future, which can be taken by a right approach, the minimum demand and the maximum benefit from the new conditions using various tools such as expansion of electronic governments, accelerated deregulations, and changing the business paradigm and steering business based on new knowledge. In first sections, examining the business condition of Afghanistan country affected by the global pandemic crisis. Afghanistan is our development country with a relative low standards of living, and underdevelopment industrial base, and a low human development index. The 2019 coronavirus pandemic and its spread to other countries of the world, in addition to tangible human and financial costs, has led to the suspension of many economic activities in the world, especially in Afghanistan. However, there is still no clear estimate of the amount of financial loss and its economic cost to the country's economic, both due to the significant reductions in work productions and significant reductions demand for goods with obsolete advantage, especially saffron and its prices. It can be expected that in the coming months and in the coming years, the Afghanistan economy will be in the tight spot. The important point is the problems that the private sector of Afghanistan, especially small business, are suffering. So that in these conditions, they will lose their financial and productivity capacity, and those will affect the entire productions of the country. A small business, affordability, and total production. Challenges of Afghanistan economy. The outbreak of the pandemic affects supply and demand at the same time, the result of which will affect the Afghanistan economy at the macro level, supply and demand. The impact of the pandemic on the level of supply in various economic sectors, such as agriculture sectors affected by import-export market demand, industry sectors by reducing consumption costs and reduce demand for industrial productions, and finally services sector, such as restaurants, hotels, clubs, and etc. The impact of the epidemic on demand. Due to the observance of health recommendation, stay-at-home hands reducing their level of confidence that the goods are not contaminated. Rising price and declining purchasing power are also the reason for the decline in demand for goods and services. So, global economic challenge. The outbreak of the corona pandemic last year, 2019 and 2020, has definitely had a clear impact on the global economy in all countries of the world. The recurrence of this pandemic causes are financial crisis, declining world GDP, disruptions, the supply chain of goods required by industry worldwide, decreased household consumption due to uncertainty and declining global stock market. In a report to the business, the McKinsey Institute offers 7 tips and tricks to help business minimize losses in all areas, such as employee protections, forming and epidemic teams, COVID-19, maintain the liquidity needed to get through the strong supply chain consolidations, keep touch on customers, practice the programming and targeting. Section 2, electronic governments. Businesses need a new information and communication technology tools in order to provide the necessary prerequisites for telecommuting and harder to change the way goods and services are used, as well as to continue business in the present and the new future. In order to achieve the ultimate goal of increase productivity and saving, reduce the obligations to visit a person to buy a product or receive services, and also sharing common needs in the process, government to government, government to customer, and government to business. And the third section, changing the business paradigm. COVID-19 pandemic is a negative event for the economic of countries. The effects of this pandemic at the level of enterprises and from a business perspective will be more effective in the near future. So business owners are required to change their strategy through the value chain from design and supply to production, marketing and sales. Because the survival of the business, the market will certainly change after this period. It is noteworthy that in 2003, at the time of the emergency of SARS in industry, the industries were most affected. These influences are labor shortage, export demand suspended, and serious harms to the benefit of companies. Given that there will certainly be pandemic and similar crises in the years to come. Examining these effects shows that companies need to change their nature and strategy to move towards such crisis have less of effect on them. Two successful business models in the world 2002-2003 during SARS pandemic: Alibaba Group Company and GD Company. Due to the closure of many physical markets, turning points that Alibaba created in the startup activity to subtotal of China's South Morning Post company and become one of the largest electronic commerce platform in the world. And then GD Company was the offline sales agent of CDs in China, which started to take advantage of online business. With the emergence of SARS and the rejection of in-person customers, that now it is as a large online sales in China after Alibaba. What is important in this regard will be the role of science and technology in change of strategy and existing business and even creative new business. Role of science and technology on business production, effectiveness, commercialization, have knowledge on new products and service, improving the level of economic and welfare, wealth creating and added value. And fourth section, regulation. The issue of eliminating and amending redundant business rules or regulations and development more effective option is one of the things that is becoming more and more important in order to improve Afghanistan business environment in the post-corona environment. This can be done by political actors. Policy recommendation for the resilience of companies and business. Given that events are no longer unexpected after a corona pandemic, long-term policies need to adapt to change the structure and paradigm of businesses. Therefore, the policy recommendation presented in the article are for the four sections mentioned with a long-term approach. First, identify and develop new financing tools for governments and business. Cost, reduce transaction costs and improve supply chain efficiency. Time, shorten the time for issuing business license to prevent multiple fraud. Development technology and structures, empowering business, especially the development of training managers and business owners to promote the culture of electronic commerce. Supporting the UBT Ministry of Economic Affairs, supporting business affected by the epidemic corona. Competitiveness. Move towards transparency and competitiveness in the economic and support production and business against rent and corruptions. Capital, utilizing the capacity of existing capital in the business environment and countries. Technology, changing the technology of packaging goods with a LT approach and etc. Services, changing the service of companies according to the new demand created by customers in order to expand online sales. Scientific capacity, using the scientific capacity of academic and research in the situation and teach a new advanced method. Branding. Using the scientific capacity of academic and research institution in order to teach correct and principle branding. Love, elementary, redundant laws and regulations, and modify processes and procedure using the capacity of the regulations board. Science and technology. Helped and continued the life of companies in the field of science and technology and knowledge based by marketing their products. Team creating a specialized business work team and entrepreneur and creative actions of business. Thank you. Any questions? I'm here to answer to you.
Say thank you, Shabana, for presentation and participation. Thank you again. And now I inviting Andrew to give his presentation, and we will talk about intergenerational communication in the era of pandemic, a new perspective on generation.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andrei Andreev. Let me see to share my screen. I'm sorry, but I think I have no option because I use mobile phone right now. No way to share the screen. I can send the link to my presentation. Can we use it?
Okay, we are waiting.
Or in any case, let me introduce.
This is the place to find yourself.
Istanbul offers great universities and the lifestyle is really amazing here.
So I live at the dorms at Maltepe University and I'm really happy with it. There's a cleaning service every few days and then there's the library nearby which is open 24/7.
My first impression when I came was like, it's huge. You have everything in one place.
When you first come to Maltepe University, you don't know where what is and you're like, oh my God, I need help. Guess what? You're not alone. There is the international office people over there. They're like family. They're very helpful and they're always there for you.
Istanbul is the perfect mixture between ancient and modern. Coming into this city helps me discover myself, learn about so many different cultures, learning about the world, which will help me in writing future books.
At Maltepe University, we have a lot of research centers. Because of that, we have the ability to participate in a lot of international projects.
Here at Maltepe University, the education consists of both practical and theoretical. We get the opportunity to practice everything we learn in class in real life. So after we graduate, we have a degree and we can work all over the world.
People come to Istanbul all the time, but what they really miss when they visit are the antique shops, which contain thousands of years of memories, and also a thread of the modern future.
I like to use every minute and just get out and hop on the ferry and just go from the Asian side to the European side and just enjoy the wonderful weather with the wonderful Bosphorus behind me and just enjoying the moment of Istanbul.
Istanbul is very beautiful with great culture.
This city is the symbol of diversity. Come and study at Maltepe University.
Come here and feel like you're home.
Andre, sorry. We will advance your presentation according to your instructions. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Your presentation.
Okay, my research is about intergenerational communications and specifically about two generations, most powerful generations right now, I think, and in the nearest future. It's Generation Y, Generation Y, and Generation Z. In this study, I also use the term transitional generation. It's the generation between Generation Y and Generation Z. Can we use next slide, please? This study based on theory, generational theory by William Strauss and Neil Hoff. And here you can see the difference between Generation Y, also known as millennials, and Generation Z, a new generation who were born after 2000. Why they are so interesting for me, for politicians, for marketing specialists, for different companies. They are young and soon they will be new customers. But also we need to know a little bit more about transitional generation. This is very interesting. And next slide, please. What is communication specific between IZ, transitional generation, and Z? They use different platforms, different ways of communication, and even different semantic content. They can put different meaning into same word. I think you can you remember some examples in your life when someone of maybe your parents, you use same word but a little bit different meaning. This is the communication specific in our case. And before we already used to be different, and we use different meaning for same word. But right now, by developing internet, by increasing the speed of the changes, we need to catch these changes and to understand them. Next slide, please. Let's talk about information aquariums in the case of platforms. In platforms right now, we can notice the modern changes. They use recommendation algorithms, but just maybe 5-10 years ago, if you still remember, platforms, platforms didn't use such developed recommendation systems. And right now, they this recommendation systems creating in when you use just same content as well as maybe your friend or someone who you meet in internet. Previously, we remember it was possible, and most of platforms used this way to work. You used your own recommendation system by system of like, dislike, by system subscribe, unsubscribe. And right now, you can see that new platforms and even oldest platforms like Facebook, they use new recommendation system, and we see new information aquarium. New stage is Info Aquarium 2. For example, absolutely clear example is TikTok, as well as VK, very popular and famous in Russia, YouTube, and as well as Instagram. Next slide, please. I want to make some small remark about Telegram Messenger. At least it's very popular, very famous right now, especially in political section in Russia. And a lot of users who use Telegram Messenger as a media platform, as to find content, to read articles, to watch videos. Telegram Messenger still works as previews platform as Information Aquarium 1, first stage. So you can't, Telegram can't recommend you something. You can find information by searching, by any recommendation of your friend, and etc. Next slide, please. Let's talk about two generations as I tried to learn something new about them. A new way to communicate with generation Y and Z. What is advantage to learn more about it? Of course, this is ability to work with algorithms. So you know how to create new recommendation systems, how to work with tags, big data, and next advantage will be not specifically for you, but for those companies, for those organizations who want to be in direct communication with youngest generations. It is owning of platforms and launching new platforms for new generations. We know that right now is very popular Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, but what is next? What is the next platform? So the organization, the company who will learn about how to work with new generations, and not just I and Z, but also with next generation after that, will be successful because it is opportunity to create new platform. It is right now it is very difficult in different contexts to win or to lose the attention of your audience, because it's the audience right now, it's very segmented by info aquariums, so you can win just small segment of your audience, of your target audience, for example on Facebook or maybe on TikTok, but you can lose other segments of your target audience. Next slide, please. Let's talk a bit about specific of Russian market. I hope it's interesting for some of you who want to work with Russian companies or with Russian customers. What is interesting in Russian market? Russian market is very developed in case of telecommunications and IT markets. So logistics, the social media, the messengers, any communication apps is are very developed, and you can use them for your work. high quality and cheap mobile communication. So you have the ability to consume a lot of content quickly and from almost anywhere in the country. So what does it mean for you? It means that you catch almost everyone in Russian market with mm, with mobile internet or regular internet, and high competition between operator and chain stores. So mobile devices usually are cheap, and at least cheaper than in many countries. I can compare. I've been in many countries, and mobile phones here in Russia are crazy cheap. And it's very important if you work especially with young generation. It means that they have access to mobile phones, to mobile internet, and they can order some your product, some your service. Next slide, please. And not just about communicate, not just about specific of Russian market, but of course the communication aspect, communication specifics. Platforms. What do we have here? The competition in Russia is very high. Even sites like Google have not at least half of the market. For example, even search engine Google is not the biggest one in Russia. The big competitor is Yandex. And let's say about communication platforms. So Russian market has not only two competitors, for YouTube and for Instagram. For TikTok, here is quite. It's the project by VK. Facebook, we have VK, ВКонтакте, and Одноклассники, which means classmates. And separately, of course, I need to mention the very interesting case. This is Telegram Messenger, and this platform is very famous, especially in political case. A lot of politicians, a lot of political parties, a lot of experts use it. So a lot of users there who subscribe to channels and read the news, read the analytics, read some even funny stories. This is not just information platform right now, also entertainment platform as well. Next slide. Let's talk about the instruments, what we should use. So how to work with information aquariums, how to catch our audience, our target audience on at least on Russian market, but I think my study can be useful for different markets, especially for developing countries, where situation I think is very, very same. How to attract your audience? You can use influencers. It's important right now in this very moment. But influencers, it's necessary to understand, and we during our study we realized that influencer right now means not the famous one, not the popular one. Influencer can be micro influencer who has a small audience, like 10,000 followers, maybe 100,000 followers, who has the small community around him or her and can influence on opinion of their followers. But who is influencer in our case, in our in this talk? To be clear between us, it's not only this influencer is not only blogger, but it can be someone in your community, in your city, who is quite popular and have a specific audience around him or her. And what is going on right now? What is changing? We have clip thinking and info aquariums. Then our audience use the same content, the same sources, and audience very segmented. And we can catch our audience by just direct message to somewhere, for example, by TV or by post on our own platform. We need to work with micro influencers to catch our audience, to work with them through these micro influencers. Next slide, please. And what is interesting in this study, why new generations are not unique. It's very usual when something new, we say uniqueness, uniqueness, uniqueness, but a lot of very familiar things we can find. And what do we see right now here, that communication is trying to adapt to new platforms. You see, we still have newspapers, we still have TV, we still have radio, but the platforms are transforming, and communication and content trying to adapt to new platforms, as well as podcast platforms, as well as YouTube is the new TV, as well as TikTok, like yellow papers, entertainment papers. But the way of how to work with audience almost same. You can find any situation in communication field. You can try to set the trends, and as a result, you will have a narrative what you want. Next slide, please. And the problems of communication with I and Z. What is specific? Maybe not really problems, but first of all, this is specific right now in this very moment. Fact checking for generation Y and Z is harder. Compare with generation X, for example. Why? Free resources, free newspapers, free platforms, maybe even news by influencers. They usually have linked to paid sources, and serious content usually behind the paywall. So as a young person, maybe without money or with small amount of money, you can't check the information. Is it true or not true? And young people usually are not ready to pay for it. But what is interesting here, they are ready. They are ready to pay for any subscription to music, any subscription to a mobile application. So this is mostly about their habit right now, because they are ready to pay for music, for apps, for streams. They are ready to donate, to support someone. But what is real problem here? This is the critical thinking. Youngest Z generation, they still informative stage of their critical thinking, and even they trust in the source. They should have opportunity, and they should learn how to check information. That is the problem. Usually they have no information how to check it, how to understand, to trust or not to trust. The next slide, please. And a little bit about result. Why this study? What we learn about generations I, about transitional generation I, Z, and about Z generation is important. This is important for companies, for organizations, for politicians, for organizations, for politicians who want to work, who want to be successful in this year, in next year, in even in next decade. It's necessary to understand how to work with future voters, future customers, and the habits are changing very fast. Necessary to adapt very fast for these changes as well. That's all. Thank you very much.
I would like to say thank you, Andrew, for presentation and participation. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we apologize for the technical glitches. I thank them for their presentation and their participation in our Congress. I'm finishing the first session of our Congress. We will take a break before the second session of our Congress. The break will last until 12 Turkish time. Thank you for joining us. See you in session 2. Thanks.